It's the holidays, and the holidays are full of a lot of emotion, a lot of expectation. You are being pulled from here to there. You've got so much on your plate. You have invitations coming from everywhere. You have kids, programs, kids vacations from schools to coordinate, or you have dinners to plan, gifts to buy, or maybe work is stacking up. Maybe you're the one who's going to be covering everybody else's off and you're going to be covering for work, or there's just so much you're going through right now. The holidays are a busy time. And if you are not careful, you will put too much on your plate. And because you are so caring, you care about disappointing people, you want to make sure to carry on the traditions. If you're now what I call the junior matriarch, maybe your mom or the significant woman, or parent in your home or in your family who has been the one to really push the holiday traditions. Maybe they're ill, maybe they've passed on, and now you feel that you have to do it all. And you're maybe trying to do it just like they did it. The reason I know is I've been there. I've been there. And I also know how it is when you're trying to be in 1,000 places at one time. Everybody's event or party or the meeting is on the same day. And, for me, I have just reached a point where I don't want to be the martyr. And as I've shared with you, for those of you who've followed me over my own journey of transformation, is that there was a time that I was just trying to be everywhere. I'd run from this event to that event. I would, you know, in one of my seasons of my work, I was not only doing frontline work, but I was doing more administrative work. So I was running from the field to the meetings at the medical center, then back to the field, and then try to get the day done, making sure to get to the kids' commitments and performances. And it's a lot. And then you add on responsibilities of caregiving for family members or planning activities. It can be a lot. It can be a lot. And recently, I had an experience where I had reached a crossroads, and I was sitting there going, and I knew I felt weird. So, I don't know if you've ever I had those situations, and I'm sure you have, because we're connected by heart, where you sit there going, "I just don't really wanna go to that." And I know for me, I really don't like small talk. I don't. I really relish having very deep conversations. I feel that my words when I communicate with people, I wanna really I don't wanna be fake. I want to be authentic. I want to really be present and hearing what people are saying. And to be honest, a lot of times it's influenced by if I'm tired or not. And I really try to be very careful about that if I get really tired because it's very easy to think that we are like fooling people. When you're really tired, you really don't want to be somewhere. You really think you're winning the Oscar, right? The Oscar award performance. Sometimes you can fake it, but a lot of times if people are just as astute as we are, they know that your head's really not in the conversation. And I think that's a disservice to other people when we aren't really fully present and we're just going through the motions. So I really try not to do that. If it's me kind of reining myself in and resetting myself so that I make sure I'm present and I'm not preoccupied with being my mind being in other places. I feel that when I'm talking to people, they deserve for me to be totally present for them in that conversation. And I recommend you follow the same thing, sis. But I know you have been in the same position I've been where you you just feel like you're going through the motions. And that's again those situations when we are living on autopilot more than we are fully being present and living life to the fullest. So, back to today's topic. This is all part of it, but let me bring it back. So, recently, as I was sharing, I could feel within my spirit that I just wasn't feeling going to this certain event. And because I had a lot going on. I just had a lot going on in my home life just with you've heard me talk about caregiving and um my, as I call them, you hear me keep saying it, my junior matriarch role. Since my parents have passed, I've, taken on that role of being the lead elder in the village, so to speak. And my mom was one of a kind. So I don't call myself the patriarch. I mean, I'm sorry, the matriarch. I call myself the junior matriarch. So I feel like I'm her assistant that is stepping in since she's passed on. But because of that, if I'm not careful, and I know you're the same way, if we're not careful, we will take on so much on our plates because of our perceptions of others' expectations and the fear of disappointing people. And along with that is this notion of FOMO, the fear of missing out. And it's just a part of us being human beings. We want to be involved. We want to see. We don't want to miss out. We worry that people are going to be upset if we don't show up somewhere, or maybe someone's going to read into something like, "Oh, well, they didn't come because they didn't respect the host of the party," or we go through all this. Do you ever have that? I think you do, but I'm going to ask. Have you ever had that feeling where you really don't want to go? You really don't wanna go. You're just not feeling it. You're tired, or that's just not the way you wanna spend that time. You had some other plans to actually take a pause, if you've heard me encouraging you to do, and all of a sudden, something gets added to your schedule. and you know that you are already operating on fumes, and you are really looking forward to just having some downtime. But you're trying to convince yourself that, okay, you can drive a few more miles, you can go a little bit more, you can, when I say drive, you can make your body get to going and push yourself just a few more miles to go to another event. So now you have this feeling of somewhat doom because you're like, "Oh, I just don't think I can go further." Well, I am going to give you permission, and you know I've said this last week, this word permission to go from the fear of missing out, FOMO, to JOMO, and embracing the joy of missing out. So let me unpack this just a little bit. So you heard me say a couple minutes ago that I had recently a weekend where I just had so much going on, trying to manage a lot of different roles and responsibilities. And I just felt that, you know what? My brain needs to conserve some energy. My body needs to conserve some energy. And to do that means not expecting my brain to fire in so many different directions such that, okay, it's got to squeeze out some energy to deal with the home stuff I need to deal with, squeeze out some energy to deal with the work stuff I need to deal with, squeeze out enough to go to this other event. And all of that leaves no time for me to try to regroup and prepare for the next week of work. And very quickly, as you and I know, that's not a good combination. That's when we allow ourselves to fall into those type of traps where our plate is so full with the servings from all these different people. It's like going through a buffet line and you keep having people, they don't even ask you how much you want on your plate. They just keep putting stuff on your plate. And you know how you go through the line or you feel bad, right? Or let's say that you're not even at a buffet, but you're at someone's house and they're serving you up the different dishes. And you're like you're stuck because there's one dish you really don't want a lot of, maybe you don't want it at all, but then you don't want to hurt the feelings of the host. Wouldn't you agree that's often how life feels sometimes when we wear all these hats we wear and our plate is so full and life keeps serving up stuff on our plate without asking us how much we want. But I'm going to tell you, although that feels uncomfortable, or maybe that dish looks so good, you want everything. You want to taste everything, which means you want to go to every activity because you don't want anybody telling you how good it is. You want to know for yourself. What happens? You end up with a sore stomach, an upset stomach. You're sick at the stomach. You don't feel good, and then you're not able to do anything. So it's very similar to when we put too much on our plate of our lives. And we have to give ourselves permission to do things in moderation. And that really isn't being intentional. So, just as I did a couple weeks ago, I made the decision that I needed to say no. You notice I'm giving you that pause because that's very difficult for us as resilient women to say no because we feel like, oh my gosh, the earth is gonna stop revolving, everyone's gonna be upset, or do you ever find yourself worrying that people won't care if you're not there? Maybe you won't be missed? I'm only sharing with you what thoughts I have gone through in the past, but I made a decision that to say no because I realized it was okay for that activity to go on without me. I've attended other events every year. It's okay. I can't expect anyone else to understand what I've got on my plate or tell me that it's okay to miss it. Nope. I had to do it. So I said no to FOMO. I wasn't going to worry about it. I hope they had a wonderful time. And by doing that, sis, I opened up some space on my plate. And I was able, as I always tease my friends, I was able to focus on 999 things instead of 1,000 things. And it felt great. I didn't have to worry about trying to hurry up and finish what I was doing and get there. It became a joy of missing out. I took that time to finish the other things I needed to do. I took that time to refresh, to reset, so that I could get ready for the next week because it was going to be on a Sunday evening. And that weekend, I had been going to my son is in college and he had performances. He's a musician, so I needed to do that. And I needed to take a pause. You heard me say that last week. Pause for the cause. So I want you this week because I know it worked for me. And I'm not saying it's easy, it's been a journey. But that's why I'm here for you, sis, because I want you to be able to create space on your plate for you. And I want to be here. I want to help coach you through letting go of FOMO. You don't have to be everywhere. And it's okay for those things for some things to move on without us so that you can prioritize what's most important, where you need to be, what memories are going to be important to you, what memories are most important to those who you hold most close in your inner circle, and to create space so that you can take a breather and refresh. So, again, this week, I want you to really evaluate every upcoming activity over the holiday season, every dinner, every lunch, every breakfast, every meeting, every program, every event, and yes, every sale, everything. Please take a moment and prioritize. Where do you just have to be? Where do you just really, really have to be? I'm not talking about being ego based or self centered, like, oh, well, I want to be, I need to be. No, where do you really need to be? What is really critical? What really needs your attention? What needs your physical presence? Not about you feeling you need to be seen, but where do you really, really need to be seen? And where can you fully be present in the moment? And those activities or expectation of others or to-dos, tasks that really aren't earth-shattering, that really aren't critical to what's most important, I want you to let it go. And when you let it go, when you take that off your plate and say, "Excuse me, I don't thank you for your offer, but I pass on that serving. I don't I don't need that on my plate this time around. It was good last year, but I'm cutting back this year. I'm cutting back. Thank you so much." Yeah, people may get a little disappointed, but that's okay. They'll get over it. If they are truly for you, they'll get over it. And you focus on what really needs to be on your plate. And my prayer for you is that one of those servings on the plate you put on yourself, which is your time. And when you do that, you will have the joy of missing out. So I want you to think about that. How can you decrease FOMO? How can you let that go and stop worrying about appearances or what people think and focus on what is adding to your joy so that you can create joy out of missing out? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please feel free to follow me. I'm over on Instagram at Dr. Phyllis Hayes Reams, all one word. I'm on LinkedIn under Phyllis Hayes Reams. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Please be good to yourself. The holidays tend to be crazy. But I want to be here for you because 2025 is our year, sis. Let's go. I'll see you next week on the Joy Fueled Resilient Woman. Bye for now.